the main event of UFC 308. We're giving our detailed prediction of Holloway versus Topuria. This fight is going to be fight of the year. That's the first thing I want to say. Ilia Topuria is a badass dude. He's, not to Joe Rogan this thing, he's a badass. But I really do think that Max is going to get it done, and I have flip-flopped back and forth. Listen, I made my prediction video for all the fights earlier this week. Even after I made that prediction for Max Holloway, I flipped back to Ilia Topuria, and now I flipped back to Max Holloway. I'm just going to pick Max. There are reasons, though. Now, I'm going to tell you how I think each guy can win fights. Now, Ilia Topuria, I do not think will knock out Max Holloway. Now, he always has that chance to knock out Max, but Max has got that iron chin, and I like that that's going for him. Also, all the power that we've seen in Ilia's hands, this is a big thing here, has come before the UFC changed their gloves. And since the UFC has changed their gloves, the knockout rates have dropped significantly. Flatline KOs have dropped significantly. People aren't getting dropped with the hands like they used to. Now, Ilia Topuria is the guy that's really going to put that to the test. And even Alex Pereira is the guy that puts that to the test. And yes, he knocked out Khalil Rountree, but that was a TKO. But he did just absolutely starch Yuri Prochazka at the end of the first round with the left hook. But again, that's Alex Pereira. And Ilia Topuria is the power puncher at featherweight. Thank you very much. He can get the knockout. I don't think he will, especially if he doesn't get it early. I don't think he's going to get it late. And I think that Max is going to know that there's a ton of danger early, and he's going to work a lot of volume, but he's really working on his head movements, and Max loves to counter. Ilia knows that he can counter the counter, but I don't know that Ilia is going to be able to counter the counter like Volk did. When we saw Volk piece up Max, it's because he was countering the counter. I don't know that Ilia is going to be able to do that, and I don't know that Ilia has as many tools to be able to do something like that, where Volk could get Max thinking of the hands and he'd blast a kick, and then he gets Max thinking of the kicks and then he's working the hands, whereas like Ilia, he has a decent low kick. He can't throw him the same way that Volk does. He can't throw him as much as Volk does, and he doesn't throw him at the angles that Volk does. Max has better kicks than Ilia. And I think he's going to use those to his advantage. I think you're going to see a couple of good low kicks. I think his spin kick to the body has been really, really good. I think he's going to be able to work the jab a lot. And you're going to see him really start to pile up on that jab. Really pepper it out there. Follow up with the two. And he's going to start hurting Ilia. Now, the reach is even, I believe. And let me get to the actual tail of the tape here for you. Yeah, the reach is even here at 69 inches. Just a couple of great guys, honestly. I couldn't do better. Max does have the height advantage, though, and that's where I think the kicks are going to come into play a lot. Max is also one to kind of throw knees up the middle and feint things a little bit to get you thinking. Now, Ilia was going to have the grappling advantage, but Max is going to have the kicks advantage. Now, when it comes to the boxing, it's different. Ilia's got really, really good technique. Max has great volume. Ilia has great power. Max's power is a little bit slept on, even though I do think, obviously, Ilia's going to have the more power of the two of them. Max has got the better chin, probably. I mean, we haven't really seen Topuria get hurt, but I mean, who the fuck's going to have a better chin than Max, if I'm going to be brutally honest here? Now, that could age terribly. But from what we've seen so far, Max and, Marvin Vettori are the two best chins that I have seen in the sport. Maybe Kevin Holland, but he got fucking hurt against MVP a couple of times. Now, Max is the more experienced fighter. He's fought more competition. He's fought better competition. Ilia beat Volk, and he beat him after 4 months after getting knocked out by Islam Makhachev. Terrible business decision on Volk's part. And one of the other things I want to talk about is, who did Volk pick for this fight? He picked Max. We're talking about the guy that fought both of these guys. Fought Max 3 times, fought Ilia once. He lost to Ilia. He beat Max 3 times, and he's picking Max. I think he sees something that a lot of other people don't see, and I think I'm seeing the same thing. I think Max's weapons actually work really well against Ilia. Now, Ilia's a fucking great fighter, and he's really, really good for the sport. Where I think Ilia can take rounds here is, I really do think Ilia's going to have some moments where he hits Max hard, and that can win him some rounds. And that's what Ilia's going to really need to do, is remain composed. If Ilia wants to win this fight, he's going to need to remain composed, get in the pocket, trade combinations, and make sure he lands last. Ilia's got to be the last one to land. And he's got to land on the chin and on the temple, and he's got to be able to hurt Max bad. And I think he's going to have some rounds where he's able to do that, particularly in round 1 and 2 early. I think you're going to see Max is frustrating Ilia, landing a ton of volume, And then Ilia's going to tag him a couple times. And then everyone's going to go, whoa, shit, oh shit, that was dangerous. And he's going to have some of that success in that first round. Second round, same thing, but Max is starting to land more volume and realizing that these shots aren't going to be putting him out, or they're not putting him out yet. And that's going to give him more confidence. Max is going to be able to read a lot of what Ilia does, and he's going to be able to throw things up the middle, like time some knees. And maybe not to the chin, but like time knees to deter Ilia from coming in and level changing to throw a body shot, or to level change to throw his overhand. So I think Max has got a lot of tools that he can use here. I think Max can use some range with those kicks to definitely keep him out there, but I do think if Ilia is going to win, he's going to really need to get in the pocket, and he's going to need to have those moments where he hurts Max and hurts him bad. Pieces him up, lands good combinations that are absolutely clean, gets a knockdown or two, engages in the grappling. If he wants to have some success here, he's going to really should be engaging in the grappling, but no stalling out, no holding against the fence. If you want to, get Max to the ground, land some ground and pound, threaten with a submission, and if Max is good enough to defend it, which I believe he is, he's going to get back to his feet and you're going to start throwing at him, and that might suck some of the life out of Max if he's having to grapple when he's not really used to that. No one really is trying to grapple Max because they know he's good at counter grappling. But if I keep looking at this fight and I keep seeing it in my eyes. The way I'm seeing Max win is he's using his low kicks. He's using that spin kick very well to keep the range. He's kicking to the body, and Ilia's very susceptible to if against an orthodox fighter, the orthodox fighter's lead leg, if they throw it up high, Ilia's hand, his right hand is kind of coming down a little bit. His left hand is always at home base, and his right hand's up front here to get ready to throw, but he struggles to block that kick. We've seen it a couple times. That's how Jai Herbert knocked him down. Now, I don't think that Max Holloway is necessarily going to be targeting that kick a lot, but I think it's something that he is going to throw occasionally to keep Ilia honest and to make him think about that kick. But I think we're going to see a lot of situations where Max is piling up strikes here. Piling them up. And in those first couple rounds, Ilia might have some success being able to get in and out, or not get it in and out. Ilia's having some success landing off of those combinations from Max and getting his own punches across that do a lot of damage. But as this fight continues, I can see Max continuing to pick up the volume and actually starting to time Ilia's returns better and getting out of the way and starting to dodge these shots, landing good combinations, knowing when Ilia's going to throw back, getting out of the way so Ilia misses, and he's out of danger. And I can see that really starting to frustrate Ilia to the point where Ilia's starting to just throw everything heavy, trying to get to Max like crazy and starts hunting, and that's when Max does his best work. If someone's chasing him against the cage, I think of the Korean Zombie fight, where Zombie's hunting him down. Zombie was landing some shots, but Max was the one that was saying, hey, jab, slip back, throw the overhand, and ended up knocking Korean Zombie out with that. Now, Ilia's got a better chin than the Zombie that faced Max Holloway. I fully believe that. But I can just see that as being ways that Max starting to win this fight and starting to take rounds is just starting to look better, and Ilia's starting to look a little bit more sloppy. I think Ilia's very technical, very good, but he's not fighting a Josh Emmett that is not this talented striker. Josh Emmett is just... he's an overhand. He's a guy that throws the jab out to try and find you, and then he just wings his overhand, and that's easy for Ilia to counter and be able to box off of. With Volkanovski, the reason Volkanovski was winning the fight. He was winning the fight on the scorecards, but it was getting dangerous, and we're sitting there watching this fight saying, Volk's going to get knocked out because when he's backing up, his chin is straight in the air, and he's getting caught. By the way, this goatee is honestly marvelous. I might keep it. If Rob loses, I'm actually getting rid of it because that's just all I'm going to see is Rob Whittaker in the mirror. And I mean, especially even when I take my shirt off, we look the same. Like me and Rob, we're the same. Right, guys? But Ilia's not facing Volk. He's not facing Josh Emmett. He's not facing Bryce Mitchell, who can't strike. When I'm looking at the guys he fought, and again, let's just go to this for Ilia. And we're going to start from his last 5 fights. Again, this dude, he's got submissions too, and that's what's scary. But, Ryan Hall, this guy is nothing good. Ryan Hall sucks. I know Joe Rogan literally smokes his rod every time he fights. But Ryan Hall fucking sucks, guys. He's not an MMA fighter. He's a jiu-jitsu practitioner that flops around on his back like a fish and doesn't have any finishability outside of grappling. Can't throw with his hands. Dives for Imanari rolls. And Ilia was able to actually get into, dodge all those, get into a dominant position, and just hit him a couple times and knock him out because Ryan Hall is a soy BJJ guy. Strict BJJ guy. Not all of them are like that, but like the guys like Ryan Hall that like go into MMA and don't know how to throw hands and shit like that and just flop around like a fish, they look dumb. Like Carlos Vera, same thing. Soy. Jai Herbert. Ilia faced some issues against the size and the length of Jai Herbert, and that's, closer to Max's height. I think Jai Herbert's like 6'2", maybe 6'3". Max is 5'11", but like, again, that's a little bit closer, but I mean, the size obviously was a problem. Now, Jai Herbert is not as good with his hands as Max Holloway is. So Ilia was able to get on the inside and land those combinations and land that great like body hook, right hook up top and just flatline Jai Herbert. Like landed it perfectly on the chin. But he got hurt in that fight. And there were some struggles in that fight early. Bryce Mitchell, a guy that really is not a great striker. He's a dude that has tremendous grappling, and Ilia was able to beat his ass on the feet, and when it came to the grappling, Ilia was just better at grappling than him as well, and ended up subbing him. So again, not the highest level of competition before he gets to Josh Emmett, who was in a position based off a robbery of Calvin Kattar. And then he lost to Yair and got subbed. So now Josh Emmett goes out there, all right, I'm getting the Ilia Topuria fight. I can just wing overhands and catch him. No, Ilia's too good at boxing for that. But that shows me that Ilia's not fighting that highest level of competition there. Like, he's not fighting great strikers. So maybe he does try and implement the grappling more, but I do think Max's counter grappling is good. But you're facing a guy in Josh Emmett, and you absolutely masterclassed him because he doesn't know how to do anything other than throw an overhand in the striking. You're not going to out-grapple Ilia if you just have a wrestling base. I don't think there's anyone at featherweight that's really going to out-grapple Ilia, if I'm being honest, either. Like, I think he throws Mozart to the side. I think Aljo is a guy that poses a tricky challenge just because how lanky he is and the way he can get to the back and do damage from there, or create problems from there. But like, Emmett's not that guy. Emmett, again, is throwing those, not to Lucas Tracy, just saying he's big meaty hooks. Like, he's throwing these big meaty hooks, and Ilia's just seeing them the whole time, getting out of the way, rolling with the shots, landing his own combinations, and beating up Josh Emmett, a guy that's similar to his size. Then he gets Volkanovski, a guy that's also short. Now, Volk was making mistakes in those fights when he was getting out of the pocket. He was leaving his chin up, and that's when Ilia was landing his shots and ended up catching him right on the chin and knocked him out. Max isn't going to be going out there with his hands down, like with his chin up and his hands down, trying to get out there and look all slick like that. Max is going to be hands up, getting out of the pocket, moving around a lot better, and his chin's not in the air. He's going to keep it tucked. That's what he does. Max will keep his chin tucked. And he'll land his combinations on the counter, but he's staying tucked. He's staying defensive. And Volk has good defense, but when you face a guy like Ilia that's similar in your size, when his chin's up and a power puncher's coming at you, you're going to get caught. And that's what happened. If Volk didn't get caught, he was going to win that 50-45 on the scorecards. 100%. But he got caught. Max is not going to do that shit where his chin's up. And I'm just seeing all these guys that Ilia has faced, and like, he created a blueprint to beat some of these guys, sure, but other than Volk, it's not the highest of level of competition here. And Volk he was the perfect guy to beat Volk. He is the tailor-made matchup to beat Volkanovski, a power puncher, especially if Volk's coming off a knockout, that can catch him on the chin when Volk backs up with his chin up. He was the perfect guy to do it. Max is the perfect guy to beat Ilia. Or Sugar Sean really is. I'm going to be real about that. Sugar Sean's like the perfect matchup to beat him. But at featherweight, Max is the guy. Maybe Yair, but I just think Yair's going to get out-grappled. Like, Max is the guy. And also, the perfect guy to beat Max Holloway is Ilia Topuria. Well, it's Alex Volkanovski, as we've seen, but like, Ilia Topuria's got a style that poses a lot of problems for Max too, so this really is a 50-50 fight. But if we're looking at this fight, and you're telling me, let's look at the odds here. Max Holloway is plus 200 as an underdog. I like those odds. This is a 50-50 fight to me, and they're absolutely disrespecting Max Holloway in the odds, and maybe that's what's making me think that it's Max Holloway's how much he's being disrespected by odds makers. But like, this guy doesn't get knocked out. He's been subbed once, and just look at this level of competition he's faced and how active he is. Dude comes into the UFC, and right off the bat in 2015, he's super young, and he is just whooping up on top guys like Cub Swanson, beats up Swanson. Charles Oliveira, Jeremy Stevens, he decisions. Ricardo Lamas, he decisions, points to the ground. It's an iconic moment. beats Anthony Pettis for a belt, beats Jose Aldo to retain, beats Jose Aldo to retain again, or I think he beat Pettis for an interim, beat Aldo for the undisputed, defended against Aldo again, and he's finished these guys. Then he defends against Brian Ortega, a tremendous jiu-jitsu practitioner, and makes Ortega look like he doesn't belong in the UFC. He lost to Poirier, taking the fight on short notice, and went up a weight class, so he looked a little flabby, but then he comes back down and he retains his title at 145 against Frankie Edgar. Then he loses his title to Volkanovski. Then he loses a split decision in a very close fight that some people think Max won. I personally think Volk did enough to get it done. It was very, very close. I'm not upset with people saying Max won. It was very close. But he loses to Volk here again in a very close fight. This first fight was pretty close too, but Volk clearly won it. Then he goes out there, and everyone's talking about how dangerous Calvin Kattar is. He could be the guy to take the chin. His boxing skill is great. He makes Calvin Kattar look like he doesn't belong. Then he goes in there with Yair, who poses tremendously difficult problems, especially for a guy in Max that isn't going to try and grapple. And he beats Yair in a very good fight, closer than people tend to remember it, but like he won very clearly. He won on the scorecards 4-1. And then he goes to fight Volkanovski again and then gets masterclass. So it's like the common denominator here, it's like, it's Volkanovski, and that's it, because Volk's got that style. Volk knows how to beat him. He's fought him 3 times now. Then he goes in there against Arnold Allen, who I think is another really good matchup for Ilia Topuria. I think Arnold Allen has a tremendous style, and I think he's outside of Volk, Max, and Ilia Topuria. I think Arnold Allen's the best fighter at featherweight, and yes, that includes Diego Lopez. I think Arnold Allen's better than Diego Lopez. I'm going to be brutally honest. He's better than Evloev, even though he lost, which he had Evloev finish, but Evloev was playing a little gay game where he was just putting his hand on the ground. And even when Arnold Allen was landing those knees, he was pulling the hand up of Movsar Evloev landing the knee. Then he would go back down, pull it up, land the knee. Mark Goddard doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, but Movsar Evloev fights like a coward. He is a coward. But Arnold Allen, I think, is the best guy not named Ilya, Max, and Volkanovski. Then he knocks out Chan Sung Jung, showing us how good his countering has gotten. And then he knocks out Justin Gaethje in one of the greatest moments of all time in the UFC. Like this, the level of competition this guy's faced, he's faced power punchers, he's faced guys that can strike very, very well, and I just think he's fully prepared for this Ilia Topuria fight. Now, I will say, Ilya's got him pissed off, and Ilya's got him mad and emotional. That doesn't usually work out well for Max, but I think in this case, Max is super focused. Ilia, people are going to say, dude, he's not taking Max seriously enough. I think he's just trying to build the fight, honestly. I think he's promoting it. I think he's promoting himself. I think he is very confident, but he knows, and I think he is trying to get under Max's skin a little bit, and I think this is something to get him to continue to be psyched up and just show that he's confident, he's the dog, because right now he is the champion, he is the dog. But I'm sitting here and I'm saying, you're going to give me Max Holloway at plus 200? I'm going to pick him. I think that he's going to be able, and I'm going to say this for the final time, first 2 rounds, Ilya's going to have some success here. Landing combinations, hurting Max, as Max is also landing combinations. Max is going to outland him in terms of strikes, but Ilya's going to have those moments in rounds 1 and maybe 2 that take him the round. But you're going to see, as the rounds keep going, Max is timing the combinations coming back from Ilia Topuria and is able to land a lot of volume and get out of the way before the danger starts to come from Ilia Topuria. Ilia might shoot at times. Max is going to be able to stop that in the later rounds, I do believe. Now, if he doesn't, it is what it is, man. Ilia is that fucking good. And Ilia is that good no matter what happens in this fight. I want everybody to know that. But I think it's Max's fight right now. I think he's going to go out there and he's going to win it. Ilya's still 27. He's still learning. He's still getting better. But I'm looking at Max at 32 years old. He's been in the UFC for over 11 years since he was 21. And he's still getting better as well. I like that here. I like how dialed in he is. And this looked like the best weight cut he's had at featherweight in a long time. I'm picking Max Holloway to get it done. And new. Don't sleep on Ilia Topuria, though. He's really good. I want to let you guys know right now I'm not betting on this fight. This is a 50-50 prediction. I damn well might be wrong, but I'm just going to pick Max Holloway for this one. That's the one. Detailed prediction. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe and get ready. Tomorrow night, baby. We going to find out tomorrow night what's going to happen. You know, we going to find out. It's Saturday night. We're going to find out what's going to happen, just like Max loves to say. Max Holloway, Ilia Topuria, detailed prediction. I'm going with Max. Please like and subscribe. I can't wait for this fight, man. I'm so excited.